What's up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going? Celtic Warrior James.
Soda.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Welcome to Wrestling on the Rocks, Episode 1. Again, I'm at Raf Marsh. We're at WOTR, the show. With me today, you'll notice the suspicious absence yet again of Kevlar on the Rocks. He's going through a whole bunch of stuff, buying a house, building a house, selling a house. It's a lot of stuff, a lot to do with houses. So with me today, we got Bishop.
What's up, dude?
Yeah, I don't have much
Episode 1 again. Nah, it's been one of those days for both of us. No big deal, though. I'm back again. Bishop from Terrible Wrestling Takes Podcast at TW Takes Podcast. Just on Twitter. Got rid of all the other stuff. Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. I figure if I don't tweet, I don't podcast. I also don't need Facebook and Instagram. But TWTakesPodcast.com for all platforms. I think that's more of an intro than I gave myself on the last two episode ones combined.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah, producer lady was trying to tag you in the clip from last week, and she likes to do the reels on Instagram. She's having a good time with them, and she was like, I think Bishop got rid of his Instagram. I was like, did he have one? She was like, yeah. And I was like, all right, well, I don't tell you if he doesn't have one now. Like, I just didn't keep up with it as much.
Yeah, exactly. But I appreciate that, producer lady.
Yeah, she was trying to tag you. She posted our terrible take on Dominic, and everyone talking all the. She did some clever editing as to protect the innocent, or the guilty, however you want to put it. The people we were kind of running through the mud a little bit, talking about, hey, like, is Dom doing his job or no? You know, because it sounds like he's getting booed real hard. And hey, friend of the show, referee Charles Robinson liked the clip, so maybe we're on something. But he doesn't like all of our stuff. That's just it. Is he like, he follows it and looms around and stuff, and like every now and again we say something that he likes, and I was like, oh, we might be onto something there. Or at the very least, I don't think he's not like he's obviously not part of like the office up top, trickling down all the information to everybody. But he's back
Right.
there. He's done it a long time. He either he enjoys the conversation or agrees with the sentiment, which in that case, the sentiment is people saying Dom sucks doesn't do anything, but he's doing his job right.
Right.
On the same topic, real quick, maybe we can get to it. Well, no, fuck. I'll ask you real quick. Do you think he's fucking up with the Three Amigos on purpose?
Yes.
I think so too.
Yes.
I think he's purposefully doing the legs as shitty as possible to upset people.
Remember every time Andrade would do it against Ray,
Mm-hmm.
The heel way of doing the Three Amigos Andrade style was do the shimmy and never get the third one, right?
Yeah.
But execute it flawlessly. But the pop was in Ray stopping him from getting the third.
Yeah.
That was the heel way of doing it. This heel way of doing it is like, fuck you, I'll do whatever I want.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
They saw it again. Every time he did, I'm always all like, oof. And then I see online, and I was like, well, it's basically trending again. Like every time he does it, people are like, look at this. This is bullshit. What the fuck? And so funny, dude.
Yeah.
I'll pull up real quick to see if we had any news, because I don't think there was a ton as far as like stuff that makes for conversation that's worthwhile. Let me see here, because I thought we saw some stuff.
Before we get started, can I ask you a question?
Oh yeah, go ahead. What's going on?
What's in your glass?
Oh shit, that's the problem. I haven't had any of it yet. It's coffee. Coffee with a little Teremana in it, because got a little extra pep in the step. What do you got? What are you drinking?
I did the same. I think when we do these afternoon shows, it's only appropriate. I have my final cup of coffee with my first drink. It makes sense. You've been dead on about reposado and coffee. I drink my coffee black, so it's the only thing I need in it. It's amazing.
Me too. It just adds a little bit of spice to it. It even kind of smooths it a little bit. Like it's amazing the way that it meshes with coffee. It's insane.
Yeah. I want to have it with my first cup of coffee of the day, but it's only so much drinking that I can handle, and responsibly that is.
Yeah.
But my last cup isn't a small one, but that's because it's my last cup of coffee and my first drink at the same time. So, cheers.
Yeah, me too. See, I got a massive cup too.
My cup's bigger than yours.
Hashtag Bad Dragon. I know these earlier shows, I haven't used the graphic I made in a while, but these earlier ones, I like to refer to them as Happy Hour with 3 R's. Like Power from NWA.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. No one's in the chat, so it's not like we're boring anybody. That's good. There's no, like, news. There's, like, nothing that happened. I do know that it was really funny. Everyone yesterday trying to be like, WWE's going around saying it'd be unacceptable if NXT loses to AEW as they go head to head. It's such bullshit. It's made up. There's no
When
way.
are they going head to head?
Oh, they did yesterday.
Oh,
they were on at the same time, but they were on
AEW
the
was
same
on?
time because AEW got moved around because of football,
baseball.
I think, or baseball, or yeah. So AEW got moved, and then the idea that like NBA and baseball was on last night during NXT, I think, or was it kind of right after the game started? I don't remember.
Because baseball was on Fox or FS1, and I think NBA was on TNT. So TBS and USA were open, but this still flooded with the time slot. Yeah. I mean, look, I think it would say something if AEW can move nights and maintain viewership. I mean, that would definitely tell a story for them. But
and they've been in that situation before a number of times, it seems. And they usually do reasonably well when they move. They do have their core audience that is looking for them.
like about 2/3, right?
Yeah, it's like 2/3 or so. Typically. So it would be interesting to see just theoretically how it looks. I don't think that NXT is going to outperform everything else that was on that night, if I'm being honest, just because of I mean, they put a bunch of big stars on there. We'll talk about it tomorrow with Miss and Jane. They put a bunch of stars from like Raw and SmackDown on there, which was cool. But I don't know if they put the kind of stars on there that you would sit there and go, oh shit, can't miss. You know what I mean? It was outside of Kevin Owens being like, well, there's no way I'm not going to watch Kevin Owens talking. He wasn't in a match. They used a few surprises of talent coming through. I just don't see that being enough to where like people are actively switching over otherwise. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was a small bump, but I don't think they're going to double their stuff. And what I was getting to was the news thing that was the edict on the inside. I just think is absolute bullshit, because out of every interview I've heard from anybody who worked in NXT during the time they're going head to head, everyone always said that was made up, that the Wednesday Night Wars concept was a dirt sheet made up thing, that internally they even said Hunter never said anything about the other program or our need to try to surpass them, or even what are they doing. You know what I mean? Like, it was strictly, we're doing our show and this is the time our show goes on. Like, he said there was never a feeling of pressure, never a feeling of competition in that way. And like that, we're head to head, what are their numbers versus ours? It's, we're doing our show the best we can. Now, Mike Mansouri did say that he was working production at the time, and that they did have a TV monitor in the production truck where they had it going on because they were curious. He said certain things like cuts to commercials or who might be on, stuff like that, little production things. Some of that, they made decisions based off of what was on AEW screen at the time. Or if AEW had just gone to commercial, maybe they're going to try and come back from a commercial with something really hot, so people who might be flipping might stay. Like, little things like that, but it wasn't like we're writing the show around it. But they were making some production decisions around it, right? Because, you know, why not? So, yeah, I just think that the fact that that's coming out as news is ridiculous, because we've never heard anything from anyone internally ever to suggest that Triple H has ever believed that, quote, failure is not an option. He's always believed the marathon, not a race, you know?
Yeah, well, he said it with Ariel Helwani, too. He said they beat our third brain. Great. Like, or our developmental. Not our third brain. He said our developmental. Like, great. Good for them. I do think that they have a different mindset anyway. So, no, I mean, we've been down that road before, and whatever. You know, it's definitely fan lore anyway, because if you want to get technical, neither of them win. Fucking the worst football game gets 15 million viewers. So congratulations, wrestling fans, debating over 300,000 when neither show pulls fucking 2 million. Like, the fuck out of here. Yeah. The shows really mean nothing in the grand scheme of things. Like, it's wrestling it's good entertainment, and we love it, and it's fun to watch. And there's probably 6 million people in the U.S. that watch it. Okay, yeah. Well, there's 330 million.
Yeah,
yeah. It's also, foolish.
Yeah, 100%. It's foolish, because it is like, they're not pulling more than. I mean, what was it? I like the one guy, I forget who he was online, but there was a while where somebody was just thought the whole thing was laughable, right? And so they did the NXT ratings, the AEW ratings, and then that like guy's grocery scramble thing, their ratings, because it was on another channel, not even like NBC. It was just like another channel, and I say NBC just because it's like a huge, massive local network that everybody gets. Yeah. And like it was like always like triple. Quadruple. Like, it was always like, well, they got 9 million. And so it's just kind of like to show, like, hey guys, random shows are doing, like, random non-storyline driven shows, game shows,
right,
about grocery shopping, are doing better than these two shows combined. So it's almost like, what do you guys think you're yelling about? Which also goes into Triple H's whole argument that I've always heard him make too, was that it's about whether or not the TV channel's happy. Are the sponsors happy? Right. Are they going to keep your spot? Are you going to get renewed? Are you know what I mean? Like, to them, it's like, what number makes them happy? That's our goal number. What number did we have 10 years ago is irrelevant to what's going to make USA happy today. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's
Yeah, I used to do that same thing with the Masked Singer when the Wednesday Night Wars. Yeah, when the Wednesday Night that's right. The Masked Singer got 4.5 million views. It's double what those two got combined. Like it's just it's so dumb. And then last night I was watching baseball because I'm a Yankees fan. They were on TBS and they were or in the afternoon I should say I was watching it, and they were advertising for Dynamite, and they said 2.5 million viewers weekly on the show, and the graphic went down so quick, but on the bottom it was P plus 1 plus 3 or whatever, so that they're including DVR in their viewership, which is fine. I mean, you have to gauge your audience somehow, but I do find it ironic that their ratings just don't hold a candle to anything live sports or even sitcoms and shit. So like, come on, like it's in a vacuum. It's in a vacuum. If wrestling was the only content, then somebody wins, but there's so much more. And that's what Vince used to always say. And I think Triple H has kind of picked up on it too. We're not competing with AEW. We're competing with Disney and Monday Night Football and all these, and we're competing with Marvel and Netflix. Yeah, they're doing these. So that's why they branch out so much. But
we're not only are you competing for what's on live at this moment, you're competing for what's available to stream at any given moment. You know what I mean?
Right.
What's going to stop someone from watching the next episode of Dahmer because Raw's on? You know what I mean?
Right.
When they're binge watching.
Well, and they do it all the time on WWE. They go more YouTube subscribers than NBA, NFL, MLB, whatever combined.
Yeah.
Because that's how they gauge their their engagement. So
yes, because I think that they know their audience engages a little bit different, a lot different. Wrestling fans are weird. I mean, even the ones who say they're hardcore fans, some of them don't watch the product every week, and some of them will be all like, I keep up, like, I'm a hardcore. The ones who say, this is the one I like the most, I've been a wrestling fan for 60 years or whatever, 40 years, as a fan for 30 plus years, as someone says when they're like 32 because they watched when they were a baby, but they haven't watched in like 10 or 15 years actively. They just, if they're doing nothing, they might turn it on, but for the most part they'll look at their YouTube channel and see what they've got highlighted. Like, yes, you're aware of it, you're watching it. It's funny that you refer to yourself as a hardcore fan in some ways because you can never walk away from it. Wrestling fans have a sickness. Once you really love it, it doesn't take much to dibble your toe in there and be like, oh man, I'm obsessed again.
Right.
But yeah, they have to gauge it by like how are people consuming it. And if we have 20 million, 25 million YouTube subscribers, but we're only getting 2.2 million watching live in the moment on cable, does that mean that that 1% of their fans is actually watching? Or does it mean that their fans consume it in multiple ways? You know what I mean?
And I think it's a little bit of both, because I've never gone on WWE's YouTube purposely. Something may have come across, and I'm not subscribed to it at all. So I know that I'm not the only one who doesn't YouTube WWE, and the fact that they cater to those audiences specifically and drive content to those audiences specifically. That's, again, I've said it many, many times on an episode 1 and on my own show, Terrible Wrestling Takes Podcast. That $1 billion infrastructure that they have, the business model, the format of the entire company is so much more valuable than some fucking spaz with $1 billion of his daddy's money. Tony Khan can say all the time, as much as he wants, I have more money than them. So the fuck what, man? Build an infrastructure that has sustained engagement from several different platforms, so the value of what you have is worth investing in. Yeah. But I'm just an idiot with a microphone and a laptop, so.
And a drink. Dude, I reset up the background a little bit to clean it up some. I put my wrestling booze up here. I got my John Cena bottle.
Nice.
I got the Carmella wine over here. I thought about putting all 3 of her wine. We do have like a Shard and a Cab available too. But this is her new label she's going with. So I thought, until I have the new merchandising, having the old one, I don't know if it would. What do you think? Should I get another bottle up there?
think you should stop being a fucking mark.
Ah, come on. We're way past
As we're
that.
both
That's never gonna happen.
As we're both drinking Terramana while talking about wrestling.
That's the other bottle I should put up there. I was trying to think of what other wrestling booze I had. I was like, I know I have more wrestling booze around here. I got a little Terramana bottle.
Yeah.
Like a little one. They got the little shooter.
Oh, nice.
One. Or not a
nice.
shooter.
The 375s.
375s, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll put that up there. Because, wrestling, rocks, drinks, dude. And then look at, I'm going to mark out for a second on my own stuff. I got my Becky Lynch Royal Rumble belt right here.
Oh, nice.
Signed by Becky, and then the thing up top was signed by Seth.
Nice. Aw, your frames are fucking.
But that's just it. This was signed the weekend, the night, the day of, the night of, like their first date.
Aw, you did it. You're the reason.
I brought them together, man. I was like, guys, come together in
Right
Vegas during a UFC fight. Go together, sit next to each other, talk, share a popcorn. I'm just saying, just putting it out there. Yeah, I feel like bad because I have it displayed over in this corner all the time, and I was like, you know what? That doesn't make a bad centerpiece there. Plus, it looks cleaner with these little belts. What do you think? What do you like it?
I do. I like
this
it.
off air, but I'd rather do it on.
No, fuck it.
Like,
Yeah, you're a champ, man. Yeah, you look like a champ who's won multiple titles.
Oh man, I just realized all my refs got cut out. You can't really see my LJN ref. Well, we talked about it before.
You can see a couple.
Camera a little bit.
Yeah, there's a couple refs there.
That's the Stone Cold koozie for the broken skull.
Yeah, I was gonna say you need a broken skull cans up there, but I saw the koozie. Yeah.
Yeah, I got decided with the koozie. I kept the bottle for a long time, and then I shattered it, doing almost nothing.
What bottle?
The bottle
the bomber. The bomber.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've only had the cans.
If I can get it in glass, I will. I'm more of a glass drinker than a can. Like even if I were to go get like a 6-pack of beer, and let's say it's the same price for cans or bottles, I'm grabbing the bottles.
Right.
Are you?
So when did?
Can guy?
Usually cans because they come in 30s, where bottles come in 24s.
Yeah.
So I go for bulk. Yeah, it's a numbers thing. But if I'm at a bar, yeah, right. If I'm at a bar, I'll just take a draft. It's too easy to drink. When did Triple H beat Bray Wyatt for the Fiend belt?
Dude, how do you think he got back?
Did he drop the title to come back?
Yep, he had to drop the title to Triple H to come back. There's no doubt about it, dude.
Fuck.
Bray Wyatt had to bend over and let him in. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure that's not the case. I'm sure it was a contract thing that's worked out very beneficial for all parties.
For a guy who doesn't understand contracts, that was a great save.
Yeah, and I can't wait to talk about that whole thing. Grim Reaper's in the chat saying, hi.
What up, Grim?
Talks, dude. Isn't that weird? He talks like that.
I don't know, because he didn't find me at Extreme Rules.
He did not find you at Extreme Rules. He's probably pissed that we didn't tell him we were going on at 11 today, because, like, when we go on, like, before, like, evening time, he's usually good for it. He's like the last time he came on, it's because the day before he goes, I want to come back on. Are you going to be on early tomorrow? Nice. I was all like, fuck yeah, let's do it.
Hey, are you just on Twitch again today?
No, today we should be. Well, I guess I should double check. I know we're definitely on Twitch.
I don't see it on YouTube. I was going to pull up the YouTube so I can see the chat. Is Grim on Twitch?
Oh, shit, you're right. We're only on Twitch. I know why, too. I had to switch around some stuff, and I didn't fix it.
Yeah, I heard you talking about it with Miss Amanda last week.
Yeah, I had to switch around the keys, and I didn't fix that. I was trying to figure out what the difference was. Yeah, we're only on Twitch right now. That's a bummer. A little more extra work for me on the back end, so I'll put us up on YouTube later. So,
yeah, I don't need the chat. You can read.
Yeah, I got the Twitch chat up. I mean, if I realized I was only in Twitch, I probably would have brought the other one because I can do the little emojis. But they're good. They're fun. Anyone who's watching, twitch.tv/wrestling on the rocks. Got little emojis of Vince making faces. Yeah, I had to switch over that key and I totally forgot. I should have tried to fix that. Restream was fucking up last week. I don't even want to use Restream anymore.
Right.
I don't like them, but
They're
can't
free.
afford not to just yet.
Right.
Right now it's free, but that's a good call. It's only episode 1. Take a drink.
Well, I was gonna say, if you listen back to our last 2 episode 1s,
Yeah.
I think we made it, man. We technically should be on episode 3 right now. That's how good the episode 1s were. No
We
technical
weren't able to spring to the
difficulties.
platform we were aiming at. That's a failure. That's a massive episode
Not
1
on the-
style failure.
Well, this one is on the last
For
couple
sure, this
ones.
one.
Yeah, not on the last episode 1 or the one before that. Fucking killed it twice for you, bro. It's not my fault. Miss Amanda Jane sucks at co-hosting.
That's a good point. She's a mess. Ugh. I get such a kick out of it sometimes. Ask her a question, and then I'll be like, "Okay, but about John Cena, no, like."
Did you know? Did you know that Colt really?
Yeah.
Yes, Amanda, we know.
I forget what it was last week. I had asked something about like what she thought about like Bray Wyatt coming back, and she talked about like Colt Cabana for a bit. And it's like, okay, but the question was, but she's fun. That's why I like her, man. She's a wild card. You just don't know what conversation you're getting out of it. It's gonna be a good time every time.
Hey, it's for your audio pleasure.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if there was any other new stuff to rag on or make fun of. I don't think so. Every now and again, the dirt sheet says a thing, and I just laugh and then go like, "It's so funny." People, and here's the other deal I get a kick out of when I see online people go, "Everyone knows it's been documented," and shit like that. And you look at it, and all they're talking about is a thing that they read in a dirt sheet one time that was never. There's one person I even saw get mad at it, or like fuck, they was going back and forth. It was funny to me. I giggle at pettiness and the little fights. Someone was talking about how, well, because the Adam Cole news, I guess there's a little bit of news. Like supposedly the injury he has is so severe with his neck that there's massive concerns that he may never wrestle again. That his career may be over now.
No shit.
So, you know, as with all things, it's, oh, he should have stayed here. He shouldn't have gone there. And that's what happens when they're reckless and stuff. I don't remember the injury happening live in a moment. I don't know who was at fault. I don't know if it was a culture issue, because I do think there's something to be said for, we've talked about it before with NXT. There was a lot more injuries in NXT than there was on Raw and SmackDown. And it was because their style, we believed, wasn't that they were unsafe, but they were trying more to go harder, go faster, kind of a concept, like trying to prove themselves in a way. And I do think that kind of drive is very much alive in AEW. This is my match, like fucking let's really go. And people either miss everything wildly or they stick everything too much or whatever. Like, I don't know, I'm not the pro. I don't know, but I'm saying like that conversation happens, right? So
Yeah.
whether or not he got injured because he was in AEW, because he was with somebody who was a rookie, didn't know any better, I don't know, and I don't think so. But someone was all like, how could you say you'd been better off in AEW or WWE? You know, because that's what the argument was. And I was like, I don't fucking know. The argument was like, oh, if he should have gone back to WWE or this and that. And someone was like, oh, they were going to change his name. They were going to make him a manager. They're going to do all these things. And they're like, oh, then you must know something that Adam Cole doesn't. And they pulled a quote of when Adam Cole was asked about that and said, that was nothing I ever heard of. That was never talked to me. That was never pitched to me. If that was something that was going to happen, then it would have been in a closed room that never came to me at all. Like, that was never a conversation or a pitch.
Right.
And people still will go like, oh, well, then they'll try to make excuses for it, right? Well, just because Adam Cole didn't know didn't mean they weren't going to do it. And you're like, I think that they talk to their talent more than they talk to their sheets, personally.
Right.
I think anybody in the writer's room is probably more apt to going to the talent and saying, this is what they're talking about, man. I'm trying to fight for you, whatever, than saying, let me call PW Insider and let them know what's happening in this private meeting that only 3 of us are in, and they'll never know who called. The other 2 being Triple H and Vince or something, and you're all like, okay, they're going to know who called. Like,
So dumb.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, to the Adam Cole point, I think most of Daniel Bryan's stuff was repetitive wear and tear, as opposed to a single a single blow. So I was kind of thinking the same thing because I mean that's another thing I gave AEW shit for so long, them being unsafe. But I think I've seen a lot of what Adam Cole's done over there, and yeah, I don't think anything specifically looked like it happened to him. So if he just got a bad checkup, that shows some abnormal wear and tear or some narrowing of whatever, it just could be years of abuse. It happens.
Yeah. And he got
Which,
hurt a couple
if he
times.
was a manager, it might be healthier for him.
And it wouldn't be the end of Adam Cole's career, because if he had a different name, well, then he's
Right.
not really Adam Cole. And come on.
Oh man.
Yeah. And this just came out, so this is like breaking news. And we'll get into Raw because this is relevant to Raw. The Good Brothers, Big LG, Machine Gun Carl Anderson. They had their match there, and they were announced for Crown Jewel against the Judgment Day.
Mm-hmm.
And someone pointed out that Crown Jewel is the same day as the NJPW. I forget what the name of the show is, but they had a show coming up where Carl Anderson, as the never open weight champion, I don't know what that means, never open weight. It's got to be open weight, and never's got to be the name of the division, the never division, which I don't know what.
I don't know.
Why would you call it that?
I don't know.
It just sounds like a belt for no reason.
Yeah.
All right. Well, he is their never open weight champion. He was going to be defending it on an NJPW show. Happens to be the same night as Crown Jewel. They've now booked him for Crown Jewel. And so they put out a video, the two of them, where Carl says, official statement from the greatest never open weight challenge on the fact that NJPW booked me without going through my booking agent, Big LG. So with that said, we got a problem. Signed, WWE's The OC, Carl Bright Lights Anderson. So fun. Just a little petty little dick.
Yeah.
But so they put out a statement saying they're not going to be the NJPW show. And they did it in a entertaining, fun way.
But he did it without dropping the title.
He's done it without dropping the title. He's holding the title in the thing. So there's that. So he didn't say he vacated it. He just said, you guys didn't go through my booking agent. And then he says what his email is, and they bleep it out and stuff. They did a good job with it. It's a fun little video. They didn't go too over the top with it. They kept it in a nice little fun way.
So the Never Openweight Championship, Never is an acronym for New Blood, Evolution, Valiantly, Eternal, and Radical. So it makes less sense now.
That is the worst acronym. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, you want to talk about forced. Good Lord.
Yeah.
They literally said, okay, we want it to be called the Never Champion. What could it mean? And they just started throwing out words, and they didn't make a sentence out of it. That's crazy. Well, yeah, is what it is. But they're not going to be there. Let's see. Did you want to talk a little bit about Smackdown? Talk to Smackdown?
Yeah. I mean, I waited for Bray, and there were some cool matches beforehand. So, whatever you want to talk about.
All right. Well, they started with that weird. Well, I don't want to say weird. I mean to shit on it immediately, but they started off with that whole backstage thing, the chaos. I do think that as cool as it has been to see them do the top of the show differently lately, I feel like he's starting the Triple H guy I'm talking about. You know him. You've heard of him. Mr. Helmsley himself. Paul Hurst Helmsley.
Levesque.
I feel like he might be getting into his own pattern of, okay, how do we open with chaos? How do we open where it looks like we weren't ready to go live? Like, you also don't always want to look like you're not ready to go live. I think, like,
right.
It should be a mix because, that's the whole thing, right? How can it be different if it's the same thing you do every week, right? So after a while, it becomes status quo. So then, in a week, when SmackDown opens with a talking segment, people go, "Oh, that's That's really weird. It opened on time and someone's coming to the ring in a normal entrance. This seems awkward. Like, they keep starting the show before the show starts. That's like kind of their thing now.
Yeah.
Which is
And
kind
they're
of
going,
nice in some ways, but I'm afraid he's going to get too
No, it
repetitive.
already is. Yeah, it already is, because even like on Monday, they open with just Bobby in the ring. You gotta take a break. Gotta take a break.
Me.
Yeah.
That one bothered me, and we'll talk about it. Well, let's talk about it now. I mean, that one did bother me because it was Bobby mid-sentence saying, I'm out here, cutting his segment there and challenging Brock. I know you're back there, and Brock comes out. How much did Bobby need to say to start that, right? Like, they could have even had him come out without his entrance, and that would have been better. But this whole, like, already talking business was a little bit too much, I think. Like, you could do the whole thing, we're Raw. And then while
I'll give you one better.
Off, you even have, like, Bobby walking out. And it's like, oh, Bobby looks pissed.
Yeah.
What's he coming out here for?
Exactly.
Then maybe as he's a few steps out, suddenly his music starts playing because they're like, look, Bobby's out there. Go play his music, you know? And then he gets out there, grabs his mic. Same exact thing, you know?
So because we're inundated with the format of wrestling, entrance music, pander to the crowd, get in the ring, regardless if it's heel or face, right?
Yes.
I don't fantasy book, but I'll back book here. What I would have done is have Bobby, or have the announce table welcome everybody to Raw, shoot it to a backstage interview with Bobby Lashley, have him during the interview, somebody say to him, oh, well, Brock Lesnar's here. Oh, he is? And then follow him to Brock and have the scuffle, then the breakup. But to do it in the ring, you're trying to pull us, not trying to, but like, it pulls us as viewers away from the format we're used to. And to your point, it's like, well, what did we miss? Why did we not see the entrance? And Bobby has a great entrance. His song is awesome. His Titantrons are awesome. So why are they pandering to the Brock pop of the music as opposed to presenting it in a more natural style of him going after Brock? To put him in the ring without the entrance of the pop and circumstance of the entrance, we're not having a cohesive view at Bobby, if that makes sense.
Yes. And like I said, I think that even you can have that chaotic moment with Bobby where it's like, because they're trying to like they were doing with Karrion Kross and Drew here. They're trying to say like these feuds are elevated, they're heightened, not everyone's waiting. Like, because before it was almost all like, aren't these guys supposed to be mad at each other? Why are they so calmly talking to each other, allowing each other to have their entrances and doing, like, why aren't they trying to swing on each other? Like, there was a point in the last iteration of Vince's rule of the evil empire that was so formulaic that some of the feuds, even though they were building storyline wise to be heightened, came off a little sterilized because they didn't go after each other in those moments. They weren't heated. Right. They weren't doing things that were out of their scheduled, here's what you do, right? So they're trying to free that up a little bit, and I think it's good. But like I said, your way would have worked just fine. I think even having the entrance start off and Bobby coming out, maybe the first thing he says when he grabs the mic, someone just told me Brock's back there. I know he's back there. And like I said, halfway through there, he's storming down. He gets halfway down the ramp. They start playing his music because they're all like, well, that's Bobby's going out to the ring. We might as well, right? Because we're trying to cater to our fans who know that that's Bobby. And then you're watching like, this is crazy. Bobby's coming out. They didn't even have his music ready. He's not doing his poses. Like, what's going on with him? He grabs a mic and he's pissed. You go, oh, Bobby's pissed at Brock right now. Like, it feels a little different, but heightened, and also not like you missed something. You know what I mean? Like, the show started maybe the way it wasn't supposed to, but not like, well, what was he saying for 3 minutes out there before?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And I was thinking, too, we've been to shows. They play that Then Now Forever Together video on the Titantron.
Yeah.
So if they're doing that, Bobby's not coming out to his entrance at that time. So did he come out to his entrance before that? And now he's just standing in the ring with the lights darkened while everybody watches the video?
Yeah.
It's a flub if they keep doing it over and over and over again.
I do wonder if in the stadium they're making it different. Maybe they're not playing the Then Now Forever. Maybe you in the
It's
audience
possible.
aren't sure when the show starts anymore, which could be also
Right.
kind of cool. Like, oh, it's starting now. It doesn't even feel.
Right.
It's not even 8, guys. Like, it's already going. Like,
right.
you
right.
know. Yeah. And then at the same point, let's say that you are producing a television show. I imagine you have scheduled segments and matches ready to go.
Right. Right.
So how does it cut on to the air with the cameras scrambling to get this assault and car accident in the back on screen, but we're not going to go to what we were doing? Like this even feels forced, right? So there's this attack backstage. Maybe you do send cameras down there in the chaos, but wouldn't you just let's play through the show, figure out what's going on, and partway through being like, right when we went live, because maybe you have even, I mean, they're so good at some of these like weird teases where maybe like, hey, it cuts to who was it that came out in the beginning? Kofi and Xavier. Like it cuts to their entrance right at the end of it. Right now, you guys go out. Maybe you have their music come out and you have them kind of like almost scrambling, and you're like, what was that? And then they go out there and like, oh, okay, and then they start doing their bit and they do their bit. But like as they're coming out, they're almost like talking to somebody who's like kind of shooing them. No, you guys got something. And they're like, what's going on? Like, and then they kind of, okay, well, we have to do what we have to do. We're professionals, right? And so then now they do it. You can do these teases where people are all like, people are acting really weird when they're coming out from backstage. And then you have a fucking Michael Cole kind of like, hey, it's been impossible to ignore. There's some of this and that. We know we promised you carrying cross. It looks like there's not. This is what was happening when we were trying to go live. And then you cut back to the footage, right? Like, just seems like it would come off a little more authentically realistic and not forced realistic.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Like the Samoa Joe one where he pulled Roman from the car. That one came off a little bit more realistic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you. And then speaking of that segment, it's hard to not look at fucking Drew McIntyre as a heel. I mean, the guy gets into a car accident, and let's say he had a fucking separated vertebrae with, a little cracked, spinal issue here, and now Drew fucking slams him in there and breaks his neck completely. Like,
yeah,
all of that's possible. That's all I could think about is this guy just got into a fucking car accident and then you're going to beat him up afterwards. Like, taking advantage of an injured opponent is not a babyface thing to do. I'm so fucking out on Drew McIntyre, man.
It's crazy.
And this doesn't even give sympathy to Cross because Cross isn't presented as the guy who needs sympathy.
Yeah. And Cross was selling it like he was dead. He wasn't even moving.
Which again solidified him like you really could just break his neck.
Yes.
You're like, if you want me to buy into this story, you're trying to paralyze him. Okay, that's your babyface.
Yeah. Which you're right. Like, I mean, even in the idea of like, if you want me to buy into the story and you're trying to paralyze the guy, okay, fine. Maybe you are that mad and you hate this guy that much. But you're also the good guy trying to ruin somebody's life.
Right.
Like actual life.
And
in storyline.
As a fan base, Cross is a bad guy to Drew McIntyre, not to the fan base. He's not booed as a heel because we hate him. He's supposed to not get cheered because we're supposed to like Drew McIntyre.
Yes.
What are we doing with Cross? Because this doesn't get him more boos, and it doesn't help him. It doesn't help us cheer Drew McIntyre more. Why do we want to see Cross get beat? Just because he wants to beat up Drew McIntyre? That doesn't do enough. That doesn't do enough. Wow, now, if he was Baron Corbin as, the Constable or King Corbin, and somebody came out and did that to him, then you're like, well, fucking right, man. Corbin deserved it. But Cross doesn't deserve this. He's done nothing except try to beat up Drew McIntyre. And he did. And now, it's I don't know.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns, their storyline they had together. Was during a time when they were trying to push, I shouldn't say they were. They were perceived to be trying to push Roman Reigns as such a big babyface that the fans were kicking back and booing everything he did. So they put him up against Braun Strowman, who it was perceived they were trying to push as a bad guy. But during this time, Triple H even said, Roman's the best heel we got.
Oh, yes.
He goes, no one gets boos louder than Roman. He goes, you think we don't hear that? You think we're unaware of that? He goes, Roman's the guy. He's just not the guy you think we think he is.
Yep.
So they wanted Braun babyface. What do? Put him in a series against Roman because Roman is so hated that they're going to cheer everything Braun does. And Braun is going to do some wicked shit, shoving him off of a platform in a gurney, flipping an ambulance, and people are going to cheer it because Roman's the one getting hurt.
Yep.
And they hate Roman. I think this shows that they truly believe that Drew is as loved as Roman was hated, and it's just not the case. You're not giving me a reason to hate Karrion.
Right.
He's not. Drew is, like, you're right. The entire storyline is that boo Cross because you love Drew. Not boo Cross because he's wicked and evil and doing terrible things. He's a guy who was, I mean, he's actually the babyface story here. A guy who was cast aside by Vince McMahon, who tried to ruin his career, and he's coming back to take vengeance with the new boss, the new regime, take vengeance on the guys that Vince handpicked to keep guys like Cross down.
Yep.
That's a babyface story.
Yep.
Do you think that we don't see big picture on this? Do you think there's a wider scope, big picture on here? Do you think we're getting like a double turn at the end of it?
And a double turn's a soft play on it. I think you might be more in line with the Roman aspect. Maybe they're going to treat Drew like they did Roman. And when you finished your point, you actually double backed and kept Drew as the babyface. There's a chance that they hear people like me and you, because, hey, you know, Bruce, fan of the show.
Bruce is
friend of the show.
Drinking buddy.
Yeah, huge drinking buddy, Bruce. Cheers, Bruce.
Love Bruce. Cheers, Bruce. Great guy.
Great guy. The best. There's a chance that they hear whispers, or they even know better than we do, shockingly, I know, that this is about getting Cross up. We are assuming at the beginning Cross is the bad guy. But maybe they know in particular Drew is not getting over as a babyface. That his stale character can elevate someone else by taking the beating. Because when you look back at those Roman things, because I was a massive Roman fan, I still am, always will be. When everyone was hating him, I saw it all. The reason why everybody loved Braun Strowman was the Roman feud. The reason why Bray Wyatt became a people's champion and people are sobbing when he wins the title was off the back of the Roman feud. Mm-hmm. Yes, people liked him before, but that feud was so big and such great matches. And Roman will put himself out there for his opponents. He sold everything he could for Braun Strowman. And in the end, guess what? Roman wins. So what does the fan say? Fuck Roman. To your point, biggest heel they had. So there's a chance that they're playing that same game where this is fuck Drew McIntyre and Karrion Kross is better for it afterwards, win, lose, or draw, just because Drew is so, I guess, mid now would be the term the kids use today.
Kids do say mid. Yeah.
So, what's up, Blue Boyd?
Yeah,
Blue Boyd in the chat.
Grim River Fall and Pray. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of almost mesmerized by this story, which I've been so kind of out on because it feels so much the other way. And I'm wondering if it's a lot more they're aware. The thing is, though, is I have heard, and who knows, like ever, but my understanding is Drew is still a very high seller in their merch. So they have to believe that he's, if not babyface, very popular. And I think
so was Roman.
Exactly.
At that time, so was Roman. Yeah, he couldn't stop selling shit. No, it was like he was number one behind Cena.
Yeah. I wonder what they are doing with it, because I do think Karrion Kross is the guy here. And Drew's just a total asshole in everything he does. I don't know. It's interesting. I'm a little bit more intrigued to watch it a little more closely now, which isn't the worst thing. It's a good thing. It's what you want. You want to watch.
Give me what I want.
Give me what I want. Give me what I want. So maybe next time Drew comes on, maybe I'll take a quick look. Let's see. But back in the arena, we got Kofi versus Sami Zayn. The whole Sami Zayn thing in the back, dude. Talking to Roman on the phone. Starts laughing.
No, it's an inside joke.
It's an inside joke. It was so funny, too, because he starts laughing, and then Jade, like, kind of smirks. Like, oh, what'd he say? What'd he say? Because he thinks it's going to be a funny joke. It's an inside joke. And then just, like, again, crushes Jay. Jay is so fucking good, dude.
At best.
Like, yes, we talk about how amazing Sammy is every week, because it's hard to say anything else about Sammy. But it did start with main event Jey Uso some 2 years ago, kicking off the Tribal Chief in a storyline that would set the pace for who the Tribal Chief was going to be. And realistically, do we believe in the Tribal Chief the way we believe in him without his original feud with the main event Jey Uso?
Hell no. Hell no. That storyline was chills worthy. It was awesome. That "Which One Are You" promo was just fucking epic.
Every time it comes across my timeline, I watch it again. I can't not. And I know word for word, and I can't not watch it.
Yeah.
He's so good. I got to do a virtual meet and greet with him in the midst of all of that. After that promo, but before the Hell in a Cell or something like that. And I remember telling him that I was so happy for what he'd been able to do. And I was like, you're in a tough spot where this is the world we're in, and these are the people who are out, and this is what's going on. And it's like, and they've asked you to step into this main event style role, and you've done it so not effortlessly, so seamlessly. Then I was like, you can tell you're putting in the effort, you're putting in the work, and you can tell that you're there and you belong there. And no one would have counted you as one of the ones to be a main event of a one-on-one championship match against the likes of a Roman. Like, people wouldn't have guessed that, you know. And I was just telling him about how much his work was showing and how good he is and how much he belonged. And he got a little choked up, dude. You could see it in his chin a little quivered, and he said "real recognize real," which was cool. Don't know what it means. I'm not, but no. But it was cool to talk to him about that and see him be like, yeah, you know, I am putting in a ton of work, and like I'm trying real hard, and I just don't want to let. He was saying he doesn't want to let his family down, like. This is the family business.
Right.
It's storyline, the bloodline, but it's real life, their bloodline.
And without the story, he never gets this shot.
Yeah.
I mean, just to call them the best tag team ever it's superfluous. Like, it just doesn't matter because you can't talk about tag team wrestling of this generation without talking about them. And then you just put it to any generation you want, and you go, yeah, they'd have a great match with them too. I mean, they're amazing. It's simple to say that like family has chemistry, twins would have chemistry, but their chemistry is just fucking incredible. And I'm sure they talk constantly about wrestling, but to have that second to no effort in the ring, but thrive on his own. Yeah. And now stepping out of the ring, because these guys are doing so much work outside of wrestling.
Yes. That's what I was going to say, is that outside of in-ring bell to bell, if people want to argue and complain about they don't like this style match or that, and they thought this move looked like this, when it comes to storyline and people being invested, people are invested in Jey Uso right now. They're invested in Sami Zayn right now. They love the Sammy-Jimmy dynamic. They love the Jey-Sammy dynamic. The fact, first off, Sammy breaks everyone. Yeah. Sammy is so fucking funny that there's just clip after clip of Roman and Jimmy and Solo trying to look away from the camera because they can't not laugh at exactly how Sammy's delivering this. There's been a few times with Jey too where he like grits his teeth and like sucks his teeth and looks down like he's pissed, but you can tell he's fighting back the chuckles you see in his chest. You know what I mean? Because he's that good.
Yeah. Yeah.
The chemistry between Jimmy and Jay is such that while Jimmy's over there happy, smiley, laughy, Jay's being serious and getting in his face about it. Dude, I watched that clip a million times too, where Sammy's like talking about how good Jimmy is. He's like, "How could you not love Jimmy?
Yeah.
Look at that smile."
Yeah, it's awesome.
The dynamic
It's awesome.
is insane between all these people, and they're all identifiably different characters in so many ways. They're not a bookend tag team anymore. Twins who looked like each
Yeah.
other and talked like each other are now identifiably different than each other in every way.
They're so good. They're so
Exactly.
good. And to your point about the Roman story, he's been on, leading into Crown Jewel, but what was the commentary? Oh, Roman's going to take time off, right?
Yeah.
Oh, the fucking champion. His essence of what the bloodline created gives us this entertainment that while, yes, we would love to see a champion, like, come on. We don't fucking need it. We don't need it.
Yeah, you're going to tell me I got to pick between a Roman championship match and Sami Zayn on the mic with Jimmy for a while? I'll go Sami. That's
Right.
fine.
And the more,
I can wait on the match.
the more what's under Roman Reigns is identified and solidified and overall defined what they're doing, they then make this massive base beneath this statue of what Roman is, right? They continue to raise the strength of Roman's character and title run and all that shit because the bloodline now is doing the bulk of the work because he's that strong of a champion.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's the best.
And then we'll talk about the other part too, where later on they're in the back and Jimmy and Solo and Sammy and Jay. And Jay's all like, "You're welcome, by the way. Did you see that?" And Sammy's like, "What are you talking about? I didn't see anything." He's all like, "And for once, it'd be nice to get a little bit of gratitude for me doing something on my own." And the way that Jay just like looks at him like, "Are you serious?" And then he's all like, it's like, "Solo, you saw that." And the way Solo just kind of like, almost like he's like, I feel like he's trying to underplay his own expressions, and it's making it so amazing. Like his muted expressions of like, he kind of like side eyes almost like. He's almost moving his head like Batman. You know what I mean?
Right.
Instead of like, that whole like, I can't move my neck thing. And it just gives this weird kind of look. And he kind of like side eyes him and looks over. And he's all like, "Nah, I didn't see it, man." And kind of turns back.
So I saw Sammy win the match. I don't know.
Yeah, I saw Sammy win. Goes, "I could learn a thing or two from Sammy." Like,
yeah.
They're all so good, dude. They the ones. Yeah. They the ones. You know how We the Ones came about, right?
Yes. Because they're the ones putting on all the matches and going out there and shit.
Yep. Let's see, we had Braun Strowman in a jobber match, but then Omos and MVP comes out. So now we got Omos and MVP and Braun Strowman. I'm gonna give you my. What do you think about this?
Good luck.
Braun and Omos.
Good luck. I hope it works.
Yes. It's going to be a
there's no leader in the match. And the fact that there's no leader in the match, it's going to be tough. So good luck.
It's going to be really tough.
Yeah.
So if I scope away from the match itself, which all they have to do is not destroy the match. Like if they have a mediocre match, it will be fine.
Mm-hmm.
If they hurt each other, it's not going to be fine. Here's what I think potentially we might be looking at from a macro perspective. You have the Giant, I believe we call him the Nigerian Giant.
Yes.
Against the monster of all monsters. You have the monster of all monsters, Braun Strowman, former Universal Champion, tag team with a 9-year-old champion, defeat Omos, the Nigerian Giant, and now he's still the monster of all monsters. Until, wouldn't it be great if after we get here, the feud, potentially, that Bray embarks on, is his monster against the monster of all monsters. And if his monster defeats the monster that defeated all the other monsters, then that kind of solidifies that storyline going forward in a sense where we can also acknowledge the history there. There's a lot of story potentially there. And what's this new iteration of Bray going to be like? What's it going to look like? How's it going to play out? If he's a different kind of monster, not the Fiend, but a different kind of monster that's going to take out the monster of monsters, I'd be all right if that's what they're setting up with this.
Yeah, but that sounds like fantasy booking, and I don't fantasy book, so.
I don't know.
I see the logic, but having the match just to have Bray get involved, I don't like that either. So
I don't want him to be involved in the match. I'm saying after the fact.
Gotcha. Right.
We could even get there in a month or two. I'm just thinking that what they're doing is setting up Braun as the monster of monsters. So when he gets taken down, it's by a bigger monster. And solidifies that guy as the massive monster. I don't know how that helps or hurts Omos ultimately. If he lost to a guy who's destroying everybody, does that really hurt Omos? He lost to Bobby Lashley, and he's still being presented as this massive force, so I think you could still get away with using him just the same.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also no story between a Bray and an Omos.
Right.
You know. We did get the in-ring return of LA Knight. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think of this match?
Not practiced once. You're welcome.
You said what?
I said not practiced once. You're welcome.
That's a good point.
He looks better on the main stage than I thought. I do like that Wade Barrett is on commentary for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mansois is incredible. And I do think LA Knight has more to offer than I thought. So I know a lot of other people were big fans of him. So I see it. I think it has a ceiling, but there's potential of a higher ceiling than I had thought before. So I'm excited for him because he looks like he's getting his ability to make or break himself, kind of like everyone else is. So
yeah,
it's a good play.
Yeah. I'm really excited with it. I do think that when I saw him live, when he was in the NWA, I remember feeling like I was seeing a much bigger star than belonged here. I remember feeling like, hey, this is like when I used to go to shows in the 90s. Like, this felt like, hey, this is like, how is this guy here? Like, I think his potential is massive, and I don't want to compare him to too much of the greats, but there was nuances about him that reminded me of several greats in their own way, where not in where it's all like, oh, you're a carbon copy this, or you're a makeshift that, or you're copying this. It's just like that fluidity feels the same way I felt watching this guy, and that way of moving feels like the way it was watching another guy who moved in a similar way, right? So excited to see him doing his thing. I love that we're watching him train the crowd on how to respond to him. You're seeing him do all this stuff. It's NXT all over again. Remember, he gets to NXT and we were all like, man, the fans are not on board with him.
Yeah.
And by the time he left, he was their $1 million megastar, and they were eating out of the palm of his hand. Like, the fact that he did all the things and saw he was getting no reaction. I don't know if he was told to take a mic or didn't. I know he cut that minute and a half real quick, and he told the fans, I don't care that you're not on board, fuck all y'all, because that's how he did it in NXT.
Yep.
If they're not going to play along, then you tell them you don't need them and you go heel on them, and you're so damn good at it that by the time you're done with this story, they're cheering you, they're following along, and now you're babyface, and he can go back and forth as much as he wants. He's that good.
Yep. No, it'll get there. I think his strength is storytelling the crowd. I do think he moves in the ring a little smoother, like a smoother version of Steve Austin, but I don't think his in-ring work is as impactful. But that's because LA Knight isn't as impactful. But he carries the crowd to the story he's telling. That's what got me. You know, the way he went through that Cameron Grimes feud with the $1 Million Champion and all that stuff, the way he brought to the match, you know, really got me as I'll say a fan. I'll say a fan. I wasn't going to say a watcher of his work, but I'm a fan. So yeah, be good.
His potential is, I think, outrageous. I really do.
Yeah.
I think his potential to main event WrestleMania is not out of bounds. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of people you see where you go like, oh, the main event WrestleMania one day, and you just go, it's going to take a whole lot of work. With him, it just feels like it's going to take the right timing and place, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. Yeah, I mean, when people talk about people trying to take, I don't know, talk about it, but like the Money in the Bank, people are like, they put it on Gargano. I'm like, that's going to take a lot of fucking work. But let's see. Roxanne joined up with Shotzi and Raquel against Damage Control. They had a backstage segment where Bailey called her stupid. Called her a little idiot. So fucking funny, dude. Yeah, I like it. Roxanne's asking Raquel to do the thing, and then all of a sudden Bailey walks in. Like, what are you, Roxanne, stupid? And she's like, I'm gonna teach you, little idiot, a thing or two up front. Like, just, it's like the way she delivers these relatively childish insults in a serious fashion, fucking cracks me up.
Yeah, she's great.
I thought the match itself, though, was awesome, and I thought that Roxanne showed that she absolutely belongs on the big stage already.
Said the same thing. Even her standing backstage, she positioned herself. And look, I think that's the power of NXT, because she's, an indie darling. A buddy of mine asked, who are you talking about? And I'm like, oh, this is someone who's so young but traveled the world and been champion, that she's worth rooting for and watching. He's like, oh, okay. Well, turns out she looks the part on a big stage, backstage, and in the ring. I thought it was great.
Yeah. I got no complaints about it. It was just awesome.
To be honest, I'll say this. I think she looks better on SmackDown than she does in NXT.
Yep. And we'll get there, but she looked better in this match than some of the women we saw on Raw.
Yes.
And she looked like she blended better than some of the women we saw on Raw. Hit Row versus Legado del Fantasma. I mean, I liked it for what it was.
Yep.
I don't have a ton to say about it.
No, we saw it in NXT. It's a reintroduction of all of them together, and their chemistry is decent.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with any of them right now. I'm liking what they're doing. I'm loving adding Zelina. I feel bad for Elektra, and I hope that we at least see her pop up somewhere.
Yeah.
Like if she's back in NXT doing something else. Because you know what it reminds me of a little bit is Carmella. When she was in NXT, she was with Enzo and Cass.
Yeah.
And then when they got called up, they didn't bring her, and everyone saw like, oh man, who's she gonna be without them? Like her character was like their hype woman, and Staten Island
Princess, yeah.
Yeah, the Staten Island Princess was like based around them. Like she's got no identity now, and she stayed behind, and she's done quite well for herself.
Yeah, she's a Hall of Famer. So.
Yeah, she's the only Hall of Famer in that group.
Yeah, it's a true story.
As of right now, I'm not to say they couldn't, but let's see. We had a fatal 4-way match: Ricochet versus Shamo versus Rey Mysterio versus Solo Sikoa. Karrion Kross unable to be in the match for the Intercontinental Championship #1 contender spot because Drew tried to kill him with a car and break his neck after the fact. And apparently, I mean, we don't know how Scarlett got the bloody nose, but I wouldn't be surprised to find out that Drew McIntyre just punched her right in the mouth.
I think that's the case.
Could have
just Claymore.
Yeah.
He Claymored her. Just gave her the fucking boot to the face.
I don't even think that he would be willing to do a wrestling move. I think he just balled up his fist and punched her right in the mouth.
The only thing you didn't say that it was Drew Galloway, not Drew McIntyre.
Yes.
He said, fuck character. I'm going and punching this chick in the face.
Yeah. 100%. He was all like, look, I'm not playing kayfabe stuff. Look, I don't care what you do. Like, but the man himself, that's why they didn't pull back, and that's why he wasn't caught on camera. He looked around, and he's like, I'm punching her in the damn nose. That's the kind of man I am.
Fucked up. Oh, shit.
Dude, the match was sick.
Yeah. Yeah. Rey Mysterio was awesome.
Oh, what'd you think about that backstage segment too, with Rey Mysterio in the back saying, hey,
Yeah, I got a problem with Ray. He doesn't do emotions well. He never really has, and it was. I thought it was obviously coming that he was just going to be on SmackDown somehow. So, um, I thought it was cool, like to have it. I just thought it was executed poorly. For me to like invest in the non-obvious.
what did you think about Triple H's side of that story?
I think he played to Ray's level. I think it had Ray done it better, Triple H would have given better.
Well, because you don't want to. You have to match energies. If
Yeah.
if you're being so sympathetic and they're not crying, it looks really weird. You become off patronizing. So that also feeds into to me the big takeaway from it is Triple H is really painting the office, the company, as a big sympathetic father type figure, where it used to be the company that would screw over the guys and best for business and the evil empire and all that.
Yeah.
So the idea that Ray could come up to Triple H and talk company wide, like, I'm feeling this emotion, and have the company hand on the shoulder, let's see if we can make something work. Like, oh, I feel so bad for you. I can't imagine. He said, I can't imagine what you're going through, being that level of empathetic.
Right.
As opposed to potentially a Vince character back in the day would have said something like, that's nothing. You know, I've done this and I've done that and I did this. If you're going to cry about this, you know what I mean? Like,
or even him saying it to an Adam Pearce. He's saying it directly to Triple H.
Yep.
Also, it solidified the brand split to me.
Yes.
He is now on SmackDown because they do not cross-populate with Raw unless it's the titles. So, yeah, I'm with it.
Mm-hmm. And then I did like it. I mean, Rey Mysterio winning, fucking cool. Yeah. I'm okay with the Gunther Rey Mysterio match. I feel bad.
Great match. It'll be a great match.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking that this could be a great opportunity for Gunther to learn from Ray how to really put over a smaller guy and still look like a massive killer. Because I think that's got to be a tough balance, right? How do you... Because remember, this was a complaint I had about Keith Lee and Adam Cole in NXT. Keith Lee didn't know how to feed himself to Adam Cole without making himself look weak.
Right.
It's a tough thing. And it wasn't that he made Adam Cole look strong. He made himself look weak.
Yes, he would take bumps bigger than necessary.
I think that this is going to be Ray's way of teaching Gunther of how to be a big dude. How do you make a small guy look like a formidable foe without making yourself look like a douche?
Well, Gunther does a good job of breaking himself down.
Yes.
Even in his own energy when he's getting tired, the way he, I guess, breaks down his own limbs, right? He'll go to a one knee or then down to two knees, and the way he gets himself up. We'll watch Ray break him down that way. That's why I think it's going to be an awesome match. Ray's going to break him down, and then, you know, he'll get the shit beat out of him. And it's just going to be awesome.
Yeah. Absolutely, dude. I don't think that it's because, and I'm not saying because I don't think Gunther knows how to or can't. I think that he's fucking awesome, and I think that he probably already gets it. But I do think that being in there with a Ray is only going to help him learn those things. You know what I mean? Like fine tune it all. Where I do think that could have been really beneficial to a Keith Lee in an NXT. You know?
Yeah.
Because even now, when you watch what he's doing now, he doesn't sell himself to a smaller guy like the smaller guy is tough. He sells himself to a smaller guy like he's lighter than air. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Grimper says, I can't wait to see the chop midair. Yeah, that's going to be good. Just getting chopped out of the sky.
Yeah. Goes for a 619, smack right in the chest.
He just grabs his legs and picks him up and helicopters him.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the real thing that happened here, the big talk, Bray Wyatt comes out at the end and cuts this promo with dim lighting. It's like half blue, half red. It's very, very moody. And Bray opened up in a way that's had a lot of people talking. did we see Bray Wyatt break character? Did we see Wyndham Rotunda talking to the fans for a few moments and we'll never see anything like that again out of him? Was this his chance, right? He said things about how grateful and nervous he was because he never thought that this would happen, that he would be able to show a side of him. He goes, this is just me being me, genuine me for the first time. The crowd's chanting, he kind of giggles. He seems relatively choked up about how he lost everything, his confidence, his career. He lost people who was very close to him, and he's lost his way. Saying that he started to venture out into the world, talking about it took a while before he's been gone 18 months, and it was probably about 6 months before we saw him do a meet and greet. But then he did a few of them. And he's talking about how he met certain people, and he goes, and you know who you are. Talking to those people.
Yeah.
Who told him that his words saved their life. And ultimately he realized that they saved his. And when he said that when he didn't think anyone cared or anything that he ever did mattered, he realized he was wrong. And that no matter what little breadcrumbs he left, they found him. That the fans always found him and found every clue. They were always searching for him. Kind of talking about the whole White Rabbit even thing, right? Like this little game. All the clues he ever left, people were digging up. So do people care? Yeah, everyone's talking about it. He's trending because of a clue, right? This gets interrupted by this new mask who says some very creepy things about don't worry about the past, don't worry about the future, your life is over. You don't know who I am, but you're going to, you know, like. And people were talking about how maybe that was even interrupted at the moment because that's how much time they had left, and that was the time to do it, and that Bray was maybe running long. Before I tell you what I think of it all, that's kind of the setup of what it was. What did you think of it all? What was your takeaway and your perception of what was being delivered to you?
So, number one, for the first 35 seconds, I believed every word he said. I got emotional. I got excited. I got sad. I got happy. Like, he rocked me along. Yeah. Then I realized he rocked me along. And as he gets into his story, I'm seeing the setup and I'm like, this guy's the fucking best. He is literally the fucking best. He's so fucking good. And I do believe that it was a structured promo based on real life. That's exactly what I believe. And I believe it was done on purpose because he wanted that opportunity. When he was doing the Waylon Mercy character or the Waylon Mercy character or whatever, he was on several podcasts talking about, in the Rambling Rabbit character, he was talking, and that's not his voice. The promo he had in the ring on SmackDown, that's not his voice. That's a character voice. And I had to remember that because that high pitch is not his thing. He talks normal with, it's gravel, it's deep, but he's excited to be home too. And he is emotional to be home too. So I bought in, and then I bought in, and then I bought in, and then I bought in. And then he worked the fuck out of me, man. He worked the fuck out of me, and I loved every second of it, and I couldn't control it. I couldn't take a step back. And of course, the punch in the face is the fucking Titantron. It's like, yes, exactly. He's setting you up to care about him, and now something out of his control is now going to take over the story. Yeah. And I'm here for it. I'm here for every fucking second of it.
Yeah,
it's brilliant. It's fucking brilliant. And real quick, and I'll let you take it back. I hate horror movies. They're not my thing at all. I hate suspense, creepy shit. It really, like, I don't like being scared for no reason. So even the Fiend stuff, as much as I loved it, it's not my genre. It's not my thing that goes, oh my God, there's a Fiend. I fucking love horror movies. This is the best. It's not mine. It's not mine to love. They are, especially Bray, telling this story to get me to give a fuck. And that has to do with the essence of who Bray is and what they're bringing across. I am here for the story of it, and it's a fucking masterpiece so far.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I do think that this new character is
Joe
very
Gacy.
close to himself. You know what I mean? Like, I think that the promo he cut is very much what this new character is going to be. And I think this new character is very much a very close to who he is entity. Like how all the best baby faces, the Stone Colds, the Rocks and stuff, they've always said that it was them turned up to 11. It was more or less me, but with a little extra on it. I think they know that Bray's a babyface. I mean, you watched him as the Fiend, not even as the Funhouse guy, but as the Fiend, stalk Miz and attack his babies in a crib, and everyone cheered. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's super babyface. Miz could not get cheered to save his life against a dude who was threatening his family and kids, who could not defend themselves.
Right.
People still wanted to see Fiend do it. They said, yeah, go ahead, throw the babies.
Right.
So I think this is him turned up to 11. I think this is a very real side to him that he's allowed to open up in a way he never really has, because he's always been so protected by character, because he was always supposed to be the bad guy. I think they also realized that, dude, you're just not the bad guy. Everything about you, everyone loves, and the fact that you were gone, everyone keeps pointing at until you come back. Biggest mistakes WWE made, it was always Bray. You know? Biggest confusions everyone had. They always be like, no matter, and we've done it here when all the releases would happen, to be like, oh, I guess I could see this and I could understand that, and it sucks for this and that. The one person that had everyone floored every time, no matter what, the one person that was always the anomaly was Bray.
Yep.
And I would say second to that, probably Malachi Black, just because he was
Because it was
mid-storyline.
just on TV. Yeah. Yeah.
Also,
Yeah, Bray
wickedly confusing.
Yeah. Bray and Braun Strowman, they're like, oh, these are WWE guys, you know, and
Yeah.
if they can get it, anybody can get it. You know, it's like, I guess Roman's the only one not getting released. Anybody can fucking go. So.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, once Bray went and said, okay, well, all bets are off. There's no safety net here. So I do think that this is a very real side of him. I do think this is a very genuine way he feels, and I do think it's turned up a little bit, but I also think that he's never not in character. And I think that this was exactly the story he wanted to tell, and I think that that's his love letter, right?
Yeah.
I want to tell the fans I feel this way, and I want to bring them in on the ride and give them a storyline as my gratitude. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? I'm going to show you how much I care back by making this whole world, which I think is what he does. That's what he does.
Absolutely.
He's amazing.
It's going to be great.
Yeah, I can't wait. Cannot wait. Let's see. Raw happened. Oh, yeah, we talked about it. Open up with Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar. It was cool that Brock Lesnar came out, and it was cool that Brock Lesnar made Bobby look strong as fuck.
I tweeted that out. I said he's never had a problem making his opponent look outstanding.
Yes.
I always say it's Triple H, Brock Lesnar, and you better put fucking Roman's name in the top 3 of making their opponent look amazing at all times. They're willing to sell any second of the day.
Yes.
So I put them as top 3 salesmen.
They're amazing. They're amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to find a better...
As far as making your opponent look good, I think we talked about that on episode 1. AJ's the guy. A fucking Dominic Mysterio match. You're welcome, says AJ Styles.
Yeah. Is it the 16th? 17th?
Yeah. No, 17.
I just realized the one I
Would you
have-
get one from 21 from last year?
No, it was just a shit one where it's just like bullet point stuff. The reviews I like the most, for anyone who cares when they don't write them on my own, is Sportskeeda. They break down everything as you see it in order. It's great.
CBS used to do good, but then their bullets went all over the place.
It's
And they would do like 2 bullets and then a summary stuff. But
CBS is the one I had to get rid of because it was just fucking garbage. Just
Yeah.
looking at it, it was a total mess. Nothing was in order. Nothing made sense, and it was like, what the fuck ever. They've really fallen off. But yeah, Brock Lesnar does all that. I will say, a factor that I liked was that they had the entire locker room, not the entire, but a chunk of the locker room file out to help keep these two guys apart. However,
yes,
it was really fucking annoying to see Johnny Gargano front and center like he's the one who's going to maintain control here. and hearing his fucking voice every time the camera was near him, like he was the guy who was going to talk down Bobby Lashley, and that Bobby Lashley should be nervous about upsetting Gargano.
Right.
Like, are you kidding me?
Right.
Gargano couldn't referee a match between these two, let alone
Right.
stop them from killing each other if they want to.
Right.
He was ruining that whole moment.
I thought the one who saved it was Shelton Benjamin.
Yes.
Which was the perfect use of storytelling. So, but yeah, you're right. I mean, it's annoying. Even when Johnny makes the Miz jump off the table, and he's threaded throughout the entire night like he's a major player, and it just, I'm with you, man. I wasn't a Johnny fan. Give me a chance to be a fan. I'll be a fan of anyone. I've said it 1,000 times. I'll even be a fan of Charlotte if you present her in a way where I can give a fuck. They're doing nothing with Johnny to present him in a way for me to give a fuck.
Yeah, dude, I had to give away my Johnny Gargano shirt. I had one. I was a fan. But yeah, it just didn't make any sense. The fact that also that, like, it didn't help that fucking Mustafa Ali and Akira Tozawa were right behind him.
Right.
Like, I know that these guys are meant to look like giants, and hey, let's send out some of the smaller guys in the ref so it looks like giants, but also, shouldn't you also, like, the fact that Otis was there was great.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, Otis is a fucking wrecking ball. Like, yeah, if he stands between the two of them, they probably couldn't reach each other. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and he probably could take a few hits. So, like, and him, Shelton Benjamin, I thought was great. You do have guys who are big, but not as big as, right? Oh my god.
Grim Reaper
What?
has a point. Grim Reaper has a point.
Go ahead.
The power of Tozawa was out there, so he could stop both of them at the same time.
Yeah. It's almost like they were all like, well, we have no 24/7 segment out today, so we'll go ahead and use you guys here instead. But yeah, Johnny, and hearing Johnny's voice the whole time too.
Yeah.
His voice is already weaselly to begin with, and for him was like, come on, Bobby. You don't want to do this, Bobby. Like,
Right.
why are you talking so much and so loud next to the camera?
Right.
If he cared as much about the entire product as he cares about himself,
Be awesome.
He'd be awesome. It would be awesome. Let's see. We did get the OC versus the Alpha Academy. Speaking of the Wrecking Ball himself, it was a good match, and I think it was liking the OC being back. Say what?
Yep. No, it was a good match. I was actually, not that I should be surprised, but so one thing I loved too was Cameron Grimes on Raw. I'm not a big Grimes guy, but when he came to recruit the OC, I was like, wow, he fits. You know, that's a big thing. Do they fit? Do they not? And I know Amanda's going to go probably 35 minutes on that tomorrow night. But my thought process, I told you last week on episode 1 that the Good Brothers would be the Good Brothers and it's too much of the goofiness. They did that with Grimes, but they don't do it with AJ. They fall in line with AJ. And I really, really enjoy that presentation. And they're not fucking around in the ring either. They're doing, I think they're doing really good right now. And I'm excited for the Crown Jewel match.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if we were going to be seeing with, like, I mean, it's probably, I mean, if you have to say I don't mean any disrespect, you're probably being disrespectful, and I can acknowledge that. But there was a part of me that wondered, like, hey, are they just back for the money? Are they going to phone it in a little bit and just have fun with their friends? Not at all. They had a great match here, and they did an awesome job in that backstage with AJ. Like, they are here to do the thing the right way, the way they want to set their stage for potentially making themselves a Hall of Fame group. You know what I mean? Like,
I was just going to say the same thing. There's a way to do this to present yourselves as Hall of Famers. You can wrestle that way. You can have all the accolades across the world, and good. I mean, they gained a reputation for a reason. But their presentation and impact and all the shit they did themselves, it was a mockery of themselves. Because if you want to take the terms and mix them up, even though they mean the same thing, when they left WWE, they turned into sports entertainers. Yeah. But what we saw on Raw was fucking professional wrestling. They went after it.
Yeah. And I loved the whole thing with Cameron Grimes too. And I noticed that too. He fit in really well, but he also was not doing what he's been doing on NXT. He did what he used to do on NXT. He came in a lot more southern, a lot more high energy. Well, I mean, he didn't do the whole to the moon, but he did everything but. He did everything but, hey guys, this and that.
Yeah.
He was slightly subdued from when he first showed up, but he was like way more character than he's been on NXT lately. Because I've even talked about on NXT, I feel like he doesn't know who his character is anymore. They've stripped him of everything that made him who he was. Right here, he was everything of who he was, and it was great and fit so well. And he didn't look tiny. I thought he might look small around some of these guys. He looked around the size of AJ, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
this could work for sure. I was nervous about, is there a spot for him? I agree with the Good Brothers were so funny here. I loved it where they're all like, aren't you the guy with all the moolah? And then AJ's like, it's all crypto. You know what I mean? And then Cameron's all like, well, I mean, guys, I want to tell you this. Like, hey, man, hey, brother, we're cash only, but good brother friendly.
Right.
And then, like, AJ being like, what are you guys doing? And he's all like, come on, man, payday for the boys. Like,
right.
And they're trying to sell his shit off his back. The payday for the boys, so good. If you haven't heard it, the Good Brothers did an interview with Sam Roberts on his podcast like a couple months ago. So funny. And it was like everything I wanted from them. I was all like, I was afraid it was going to be a bunch of fart and dick jokes. Not that I don't like fart and dick jokes. I enjoy a good fart joke. But I thought it was going to just be way over the top. And they weren't way over the top. They were just fantastically charismatic and funny together and bouncing off Sam. And it was great. And that's exactly what they're doing with AJ. I feel like they need a third. I feel like if they have a third to bounce off of, a straight man third, but when they're just bouncing off each other, they're trying to, I mean, what's the opposite of the straight man? You know what I mean? Like, there's no straight man there to balance them,
Yeah.
Loved it. Judgment Day does come out, make fun of them. Hey, I started this whole thing, Finn Balor says, and challenges them, and they accept, and they all did a good job too. And then AJ starts talking some shit on Rhea. Dom's not about to have it. Dom picks up the stick, the peg as it were, and he lets him have it, like he's been getting it.
Yep.
Good job.
Good promo. I mean, Dom's in a pocket right now, as they say. He is right there in his lane doing his thing, kicking ass. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's great.
And their match was great. The match was so well done. And I'm tired of this fucking narrative. I sent you a tweet on Twitter that wins and losses fucking matter. That someone was upset that AJ lost to Dominic. AJ lost to James Ellsworth 3 times.
Yeah.
Believably. He believably lost. Why? Because AJ is the greatest wrestler of all time.
Yes.
He's the greatest wrestler of all time to losing to the chinless wonder, James Ellsworth, 3 times. He just lost to Dominic believably. Not because Dominic out-wrestled him, not because, he has to make Dom look good. The match itself, taking out the fact that you know anything about wrestling, the match made sense. And AJ lost. Come on. Perfect.
And AJ lost, and Dom is an asshole.
Yes. Mission accomplished.
Dom had to win that match. Because it makes AJ a bigger babyface to lose to Dom.
Right.
And like I said before, I think he does the leg thing in the Three Amigos shitty on purpose. It doesn't look like he's trying all that hard. And I think that's on purpose. Because I think at first it was difficult for him, and you used to see him try real hard, and he was just kind of just shy of it. Now he's not even close to it. And I think it's because he goes, oh, that makes people really mad, and they're going to boo the shit out of me when I do it.
Right.
I'm going to do that now. Like, he's leaning into the skid. And I know something too about skids.
Yeah.
So good. I think it's masterful. Grimmer does say, glad to see the Good Brothers survived Undertaker's Graveyard Farm. Oh, I did tell you that, right?
Yeah.
Didn't I talk about that a week or two ago?
Yep. Yeah,
the
episode
saddest
1. part
about his coming back was that now, but in kayfabe, they weren't murdered by the Undertaker, and that's a little bit of a bummer. That was a good way to go out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, even that too, like AJ being like, "Hey, come on down here, I'll spank the shit out of you, I'll thumb you," and Dom saying, "Oh, I'm not ready." but in an hour or so, I'll be ready. I thought it was good heat too. But yeah, I thought the match was awesome. It's great.
Yeah.
What do you think about Seth Rollins coming out, talking his shit, and then Mustafa Ali coming out and getting himself super involved here?
Yeah, I'll tell you this. Everyone needs to scale it back because this is I that leading to the end of the night has less to do with the things they're actually doing on an individual on-screen basis, right? So when Mustafa's on, they're presenting him, and then he goes to another place, and then you see him somewhere else, and then he ends up in front of Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins ends up with Matt Riddle, and they keep threading things around. They create this giant spider web, and then all of a sudden, boom, the story comes together.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that, number one, guy's a handsome man. He's dressed all dap. I was like, this good-looking motherfucker doing this thing, huh? Like, it's hard to root for him. I was like, I want to root against you. You know, you can't look that good and be champion too. It's bullshit. But no, I think his presentation now. There was something we talked about off camera last week, and I think what's happening with Mustafa is the opposite of what we talked about off camera. That they're trying to make Mustafa into what he couldn't be made into before.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to work.
I kind of do too. I almost feel like Seth Rollins sees this as his challenge to make Mustafa what he could have been.
Right. And I got like 8 more minutes, and then I got to go get the kid at the bus stop. So.
All right, that's cool. We'll just wrap it up with a couple more things real quick. The women's match. Did that hit the way you thought it was? It was Damage Control against Candice and Bianca.
Oh, and Bianca. Yeah. Yeah, because I thought it was more about Bayley telling a story than it was the match in the ring. And I think they took less attention to the match.
I also felt like, as much as I have been putting over everyone in this match over and over and over again, Io and Candice both had terrible chemistry and worked really poorly together.
Yeah.
They almost looked like they were running through spots and not just having the match. Like, it almost looked like they were practicing. Like, they were hardly touching each other in full sell.
Yeah.
Or even some of it was half sells. It was just so weird. Like, so much of this match was such a mess. And I don't know why, because these 4 women are all really good and super seasoned. I almost wonder if they were too comfortable. You know what I mean?
Like, they got to the back and they're like, fuck it, we'll get it next time. Like, that kind of too comfortable. Where it didn't necessarily
we'll
matter
just figure
to
it
them
out
in the
when we
moment.
get out there, and then it's like, okay, we'll do this, and then and then go for the knee, and so they tap the knee instead of actually like swipe the knee, and then so like, oh, I'm supposed to go down. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just, it was a mess, dude. And even at one point, Io Shirai, so Candice takes out Dakota and Io, and then goes for the pin on Dakota, and Io Shirai gets out of the way to make sure she doesn't interrupt the pin, so Dakota could kick out. In a sense where they were all in the ring and she could have stopped the pin. Why would you not? Your feet were right there. Her feet were so close. She had to pull her knees up to her chest so she wasn't touching them. Just kick forward. Get off my partner.
Right. Call an audible. Yeah.
Just didn't make sense. And then the other thing I want to talk about, because the Miz Dexter stuff was fucking nothing to me. Baron Corbin made his big return with JBL.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
His outfit sucks.
It's so weird, isn't it?
It's incredibly distracting. It doesn't make sense. Even if it's an amalgamation of all his characters, I think his outfit is absolutely garbage. I love him wrestling, but if you're going to call him Baron Corbin again and give him this kind of look, it makes zero sense. Because he even he compressed all his characters together, and this is the shit they came up with. And I fucking love Baron Corbin. I was lone wolf supporter Baron Corbin when people were saying he can't wrestle. When he won Money in the Bank, I was like, you know what? This is the perfect opportunity to make him champion and have him get fucked over after he's champion. He'll turn into a babyface, all this shit. Massive Baron Corbin fan. JBL was fucking amazing.
Yes.
It shows you how different the talent was back then. Because every time these older guys come back and they get on the mic, they can fucking tear it down. and it looks like they're having a conversation with the camera and the crowd instead of cutting a promo, as they say.
Yes.
JBL was fucking amazing. Baron Corbin, I love to see him back. Same with Elias, which we can jump into real quick too. But I hate the gear. It took me out of it. And I also hate when characters either leave company and go somewhere else or take an extended break and are reintroduced and all the moves are the same. I have a problem with that.
Well, Corbin did show up with some new moves and some new stuff, and I thought that was good. His gear I thought was supposed to be obnoxious, but I couldn't figure out why. I feel like he was trying to dig on us at something. Like, was it supposed to make fun of something? Like, it was really hard for me to get head or tail of. But JBL, I even said to producer as we're watching, I was like, that's the difference. That's what I've been talking about. These makeshift 101, let me call the audience fat, let me call them ugly, let me tell them I'm rich, let me say that they're poor. There's ways to do it that's just flat out more clever. And this is it. The way you said, like, get on your sweat hog feet was a way to talk shit about them living on a farm or them being poor, them being fat, them being ugly. They look like sweat hogs. It was all those things without just saying, you're fat, I'm good looking, you look in a mirror and you don't see me, so you're jealous. Like, that's the 101 takeaway, but his delivery on all of it was the nuance of it all. Like, they hear that promo and say, oh, he called them fat and ugly. No, he didn't. He called them sweat hogs. He called them, called them a few things, but when their takeaway is that, he was just so good. So happy to see Corbin back. Happy to see Elias back. I thought that was really cool.
He threaded in the Ezekiel stuff, talking about, we have this thing in our family, and keeping all of that in some type of continuity is really fun because they can play off of it anytime they want. And to your point about Mustafa, it was as if he came on screen earlier in the night to set up Elias versus Riddle.
Yes.
That's why I said we have to zoom out as fans when watching Raw, that they're doing something here a lot differently.
And I think the return of Elias was even more meta of the Ezekiel storyline, which I said the Ezekiel storyline was that everyone kicks back when there's any form of rebranding. And that was Kevin Owens' voice. And it was such a meta storyline, so much so that even the return of Elias is that he's a babyface, because now they're going to cheer you because we went back to what you were. Like, this is the ultimate meta anti-IWC storyline they've ever done. And the IWC is like eating out of their palm of their hands with it.
I fucking told you. Told you, Elias.
See? We knew better all along. And it's just, they couldn't be making more fun of you to your face. Yeah. And you don't see it. And I love it. I fucking love it. And then Seth Rollins won. And I mean, we'll see how the Mustafa thing comes along. I felt like in his eyes when he was yelling at Seth, it looked a lot like I'm playing with my friends. And when Seth was yelling back at Mustafa, it looked like, fuck you, dude. You're not coming for my title. And I think that there's got to be a shift somewhere. But
because there's levels, right? There's levels.
Yes.
And how long has Mustafa had the chance?
Yes.
So we know he has the talent in ring and on the mic. He can carry a microphone, but it's been a while. And if he gets the chance, then, we'll see. So hopefully they give him a run like Seth has with everyone else.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. And I hope that there's a different side because, based off all the interviews I've ever seen, my fear, and I'd love to eat crow on this one because I do think he's super talented. My fear is that his ego is going to get in his way of being super believable. I think he thinks a lot of his ability, and I think that it's easy to see through. And all he's got to do is believe in himself. Believe in himself like you're convincing others you believe in yourself, the way that Bray believes in himself, the way that Seth believes in himself, and then it'll all click. But I think he's got pigeon-chested. But guys, we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. You got to pick up your kid.
Cool. Yeah, thank you,
I'm going to go ahead and do a last call. Guys, we'll be back tomorrow night right here in the dive bar of the IWC for a brand new episode 1. Thank you, Bishop at TW Takes Podcast, for coming through and having a drink with us, our drinking buddy. Guys,
you got it.
That's the last call.
Cheers.
Hey, producer lady here. Thanks for tuning in. Continue to support us or buy us a drink by following and putting the I in subscribe on Twitch. Or subscribe and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. Cheers.
I would never have a drink with wrestling on the rocks.